Hey everyone, I'm Brian.
I'm Tyler.
And we're Gardener in Love.
Hey everyone, today we're outside in our garden and we're going to be showing you how to plant David Austin roses two ways. First, we have this one here, which is called Winchester Cathedral. It is a completely white shrub rose that gets about 4 feet tall and wide. You can see it's potted up here in a pot. So we'll be planting this one in the ground. Brian, why don't you tell us about the other rose that we have?
Yeah, so this rose is a shrub rose. It was shipped to us bare root from David Austin about a month ago, and it's been sitting in water. So this is Carding Mill, and it gets about 4 foot wide by 3 foot tall. So we'll tell you a little bit more about this one later, but we can go ahead and get started with Winchester Cathedral now.
All right, so we are here in what is going to become our moon garden. Last year we planted annuals in this space because we really weren't sure what we wanted to have permanently or if we wanted to change it up every year. And we thought that we might like the idea of a moon garden, which will be all white blooms. So last year we planted Supertunia Mini Vista White and Superbina Whiteout in here, and it was stunning. Another thing that we discovered is that our light situation is not the same on either side. So to the left here, we have more sun, and to the right, we get kind of dappled shade throughout the day. So since we did annuals, we were able to figure that out, and now this year we know exactly what we want to plant, what we can plant based on light. So if you're unsure about a certain area in your garden, annuals are a great way to figure out how the light is going to be, what your water situation is going to be for a particular season, and then next time when spring rolls around, you'll know exactly what you've got on your hands. So we have decided to go with the moon garden for this bed. So I've been hoarding plants for like 2 months now. Our deck is filled with plants. I'm not going to show that on camera, but trust me, there's a lot of white blooming stuff coming for future videos. So we're going to start with our rose today. We do have this beautiful trellis that we ordered from Gardener Supply a couple months back. And you may be able to tell on camera, but some house wrens have already started to nest inside of the birdhouse. So we're going to be very careful when we move this. But we'll be planting the rose right underneath here. And even though this is a shrub rose, if we plant it underneath the trellis, it will grow up and through and still be very beautiful. And we get to have our birdhouse still. So shall we move the birdhouse?
Yep, just be very careful.
Okay. Move it that way? To your side or my side?
Your side.
Okay.
All right, so I've got my shovel here, and then I've got just a bucket so that we can put the dirt that we dig out of the hole. This is right in the center here of where we're gonna have our trellis. So I'll go ahead and move this and sort of mark it right here where the actual rose is so that we know where to dig. We do have some irrigation here, so we need to avoid that, but otherwise, we're good. Let's go. We do have pretty clay soil in 7B here, and we just have to watch so that we make sure that all the dirt that we put back in the hole doesn't just collect water and soak up just all the drainage right there in the middle of the hole. So as we're digging, you can see it's all very red, and we just have to watch that we get this hole draining well after we're all sort of emptied out. Go ahead and put the dirt right in here for now, just as our holding space. Hole nice and deep. So you want to dig your hole about 2 feet wide, and then just as deep as the rose. We actually need to dig the neck of the rose about 3 inches below the surface, so we want to make sure that we account for that. The easy thing about planting the roses that come in a container is you really know how wide to deep your hole right off the bat. It's pretty much just like digging any other hole for any other plant and planting it. But you do want to make sure that you amend the soil a little bit and then that you add your mycorrhizae or biotone in.
Would you like an extra bucket?
Please. Gotta have a deep hole here. We do have some worms in this hole, so that's a good sign.
Perfect. Oh my goodness, this is heavy.
Some roots in there, but all in all, actually not too hard to dig this hole as compared to what we normally have to go through. All right, so now I'm just gonna set the rose right down into the hole just to make sure that the hole's big. Seems like we're in a good spot. You wanna plant it?
Yeah.
All right.
I get the fun part.
Get in here.
All right, so now Brian did the hard part and dug the hole for me. I am going to go ahead and plant this rose. So these are the amendments I'm going to be putting in the hole. Just like Brian said, we have really heavy clay here, so we want to make sure we amend the hole so that the rose isn't just sitting in water. So I've got some biotone here, which has the mycorrhizae in it, which will open up more spots on the root for it to take in water, and it really helps with root growth. And then we've got some Daddy Pete's planting mix here, which has some pine bark fines, some compost as well. We used this to plant our Japanese maple last year, and it worked wonders for drainage. So I'm gonna mix that up with some of the native soil and get the rose in the ground. So I'm just gonna mix up the biotone in the bottom of the hole with some of the native soil. And let's see if I can, oh yeah, rip this up a little bit. So I'm gonna get a few handfuls of this and put it into the soil and just kind of mix it around with some of this native soil that Brian dug out. And then let's see what this baby looks like. Ooh, am I gonna be able to get it out without it falling apart?
You got it.
Oh, she's wet. Okay. So just like Brian said, I'm gonna make sure that about an inch or two of the connection at the bottom of the rose is under the soil. And I guess I should remove my tag too, huh? And I'm gonna take this little tag off. Keep your tags, people. I just started a 2022 Ziploc bag where I'm gonna put all my tags so that later on, oop, I broke a little branch off. Sorry, little guy. Later on, when you're wondering, what was that rose called? You will have it in a bag. And sometimes I even write on the tag where I planted the rose in our garden, because we plant a lot of stuff. Sometimes I'm just forgetful. So I've got it in the hole, and I'm just gonna rough up some of this mulch around the root ball. Easy as that. Step on it.
There you go.
Oh, this is gonna be so nice. I might have to level it out a little bit. Should I kick
Pull
some?
that side. Yeah. There you go, right there. Perfect.
All right, so the next thing that we're gonna tackle is this space here. So we're gonna plant the bare root rose right over here. First thing that I have to do before we even get to that is actually carve out this new space because we don't have anything here so far. We have grass here. The ground is a little bit hard right now and it's been pretty dry here lately in Charlotte. So I like to edge out the edge of the bed, and that way we have a nice solid line so that we can come back in and dig out the grass and then mulch the rest. All right, so now that we've got the new garden bed all prepped and ready, we've got the grass all scraped away and the edge is nice and fine. Now we're gonna go in here and dig a hole for our bare root rose. So this is what a bare root rose looks like. It's shipped direct from David Austin Roses, just like this, in a bag with water, and it's kept moist. And then as soon as we got the rose, we just sunk it down into this bucket full of water to keep the roots moist. So now all we're gonna do is dig the hole 16 inches wide by 16 inches deep, and we're gonna amend the soil just like we did before. Yep, and you wanna make sure when you're planting this that about 2 inches from the connection up is actually underground. And we'll be mixing in the Daddy Pete's planting mix with the biotone to help get us started. All right.
See, we've got quite rich soil here. All right, so now that I got the hole dug, we did run into some roots and I got those out of there. They weren't too bad though. We're just gonna dig down in the bottom of the hole a little bit just to break up that hard clay soil and make sure that our roots have a nice soft place to land. I'm also gonna break up some of the hard clumps of the dirt that came out of the hole to make sure that we can amend it and it's nice and soft going back into the hole with the roots for the rose. So I'm just taking this shovel and I'm just sort of like slicing into the clay to break it down and make it really small and fine pieces. That way, it's not like rocks going back into the hole with the roots. So we'll just do that, and then I'll break up the bottom of the hole a little bit. And then Tyler, if you want to help me, we can add some amendments. Probably about 2 inches of Daddy Pete's in the hole, and then we'll also want to mix some Daddy Pete's in with the soil that came out of the hole. That way there's some nice new nutrients into that, mixed into that dirt, and then that will pack around the roots of the rose.
And I'm just gonna sprinkle some in this pile here too, so as we put it in, it's not all at the bottom.
And then we just need some Daddy Pete's in the dirt over there.
Do you wanna chop? Well, I can mix it up.
Yeah, I think that it should be a little finer now.
Yeah, our clay is really something.
Okay.
All right, and then I'm gonna mix up all of the amendments that I put in the bottom of the hole here. And then let's take our friend out.
So this is the Carding Mill rose, if I didn't mention it before, from David Austin Roses, and it came with really, really nice roots on it.
Yeah, some of these are really long.
Yeah, and so you should be able to just set those right down into the hole, no worries, and then we'll backfill it with soil.
So I'm just gonna make sure up to the first 2 inches here is under the soil. Everything else.
And then I'm actually just going to take a little bit more biotone and just sprinkle it right on top of the roots. Those roots are wet, and so it'll stick to them and make sure that they're nice and supple.
Do you like where it is?
Yeah, I think it's great.
Okay, if I hold it here, can you grab the soil?
I'll
or do you
hold it
want to
here,
hold it?
and you can put some of that soil in.
There we go.
Okay.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay.
So as you fill up the hole, you just want to make sure that the dirt is sort of, at a certain point, the dirt will hold in the rose and the roots, but you just want to make sure that the dirt gets underneath the roots really nicely so that there's no air pockets. Just fill it in there, get rid of any roots that were in that dirt. and then we should be able to pack it in around. There we go. And then we'll also water this in really well. Yeah, get rid of that. We'll also water this in really well just to make sure that there's no air pockets and that it's nice and moist. Get rid of any of those rocks.
And this will probably settle a bit, you know, as it rains and just over the next few weeks. And of course we have some extra soil here because we mixed in the amendments.
All right, so now all we're gonna do is,
How she looks?
looks great. I think all we need to do now is water it in. All right, everyone, so we've got our David Austin rose down in the hole. We went ahead and added a fresh layer of mulch just to make sure that it stays nice and moist, and of course, to make it look nice.
It looks so good. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. Whether you're lucky enough to find a David Austin rose already potted up in a container or you order them bare root, they are beautiful roses and we can't wait to share updates with you later on in the season. But I think for now, we're probably gonna go in and wash up. So thank you so much for watching and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Guys.